Right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. First and foremost, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the globe. I believe we have over 72 countries or registrants from over 72 countries or 70 countries registered for our State of GeoNode 4.4 webinar today, which is pretty impressive. We want to thank you for joining us. Today we'll be focused on new features added to GeoNode 4.4. There will be a question and answer session at the conclusion. So just go ahead and use there should be a Q&A tab in the webinar user interface. So feel free to ask questions. And then as we get close to the end, we'll start, we'll have a Q&A session towards the end. We'll get most of those addressed. By way of introduction, I'm Ryan Burley. I'm the North American Business Development Director, specifically focused in US and Canada. Obviously, we have projects all over the globe, so we're really glad to have you join us today for our webinar. Again, this is one in a series of webinars. We have webinars pretty much monthly, if not more frequently, focused on new features added to GeoNode, GeoServer, MapStore, the other projects that we support. So we'll also be focusing on some user case studies in 2025 as well. So feel free to stay tuned with us on the GeoSolutions group blog. And we'll also be posting this to our YouTube channel as well. Quick introduction, GeoSolutions, for those of you not familiar, we are the core developers for open source geospatial projects or products such as GeoServer, GeoNode, and MapStore. As you can imagine, given the interconnected and interdependent nature of open source geospatial data and moving data from sensors to end user applications, obviously there's a required expertise in other components as well. So we have a high level of expertise in different databases such as Postgres, PostGIS, Databricks, you name it, GeoTools, other components, obviously open source interoperability protocols, WMS, WFS, WCS, et cetera. Basically anything helping move data from sensors to an end user application for visualization. Our offerings, our value offerings, are an enterprise support services, basically technical support for your application or your deployment of GeoServer, GeoNode, MapStore, for example. Professional training. So if you want to beef up your own internal expertise in open source software projects or products, we offer professional training for that. We do a lot of custom development, and we can also host and guarantee your deployments as well through deployment subscriptions. So there's a lot of flexibility in how we support our customers. In general, if you ever have any questions, feel free to contact us anytime. We're very active on the .org, on the open source websites and listservs and support sites as well. So you'll see a lot of GeoSolutions employees or staff members active in the community supporting users. So feel free to ask us anytime if you have any questions. As you can imagine, we have projects in a variety of different verticals all over the globe. So you see just from this slide right here, we have Earth observation with DLR. There's security with European Maritime Security Agency. There's local government with City of New York and Norwegian Public Roads Administration, transportation, insurance and reinsurance with Guy Carpenter and Marsh McLennan, federal government with NOAA, NRCan, telco, precision agriculture, engineering, you name it. We see oil and gas with Total. We see a lot of different projects involving a lot of different data formats, data types, applications, business purposes, right? So regardless of what your project is out in the field or what domain of expertise you're in, we have experience working. Not that we know everything, obviously, every project is a little bit different, but we have experience working with a lot of different workflows and are here to help you out, in leveraging open source tools and getting the data managed and delivered the way that you need it for your users and your customers. Again, here's kind of a list of some of the industries or verticals that we support. Again, it's more expansive than this. We're starting to see an increase in users from typically non-geospatial users, such as banking or finance, pharmaceutical. There's a variety of different um, clients and verticals, industries picking up on geospatial because everything connects to their business data that way, right? So we get called into a lot of um, different applications, different users, and the geospatial industry is expanding that way as well, and we're glad to support that. Some of the industry organizations we're part of, obviously, Open Source Geo and OGC. We participate in the test beds and have a long history with both OSGeo and OGC. You'll see us at OSGeo events such as Phosphor-G Global, different regional Phosphor-G events such as Phosphor-G North America. USGIF, you'll see us at GeoInt. We've been a member of USGIF now, I think, for 3 or 4 years, and appreciate that opportunity to support United States defense and intel customers. We are Cesium certified developers, and we have been now for a couple of years. So we see a lot of projects with 3D tiles and some custom work that we've done with Cesium. And that's been there's been a lot of momentum on the 3D side for us that we've seen. And we're also members of the World Geospatial Industry Council, and we will be at Geo Week in Denver. For those of you in the United States who might be attending, we'll be there sponsoring that event or participating, exhibiting in that event as well. So with that, I will hand it over to Giovanni Allegri, who will lead us through new features in GeoNode 4.4. And Giovanni, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so I'm glad to present this new release from GeoNode. So actually, this release is the second. The first one for 0 was in September. In November, we released 4.1 with some improvements and fixes. And as I will say later, we will soon release 4.2 with new enhancements or small bug fixing. GeoNode 4.4 introduces a few new concepts, but before we dig into the news from the release, I give you a short, very quick introduction to GeoNode for all of you that don't know what is GeoNode. So basically, GeoNode is a platform that is dedicated to the creation of SDIs, let's say, so spatial data infrastructures or catalogs or spatial data. It's built with several tools. I mean, it's in an integration of open source tools with a central web application that is the one that you see, which is a Django-based application. It's a Python application which integrates GeoServer, MapStore, PostgreSQL, PostGIS, and other technologies in a single platform. This platform is, I mean, it's a composition of services and components that allows the creation of catalogs of spatial data, but not only. I will see later the visual creation of maps from datasets from geospatial data without coding. I mean, it's a pretty simple interface that allows people to upload or collect data from several sources, organize this data in a single catalog, assign metadata to to these data sets and create maps, thematic maps, dashboards, and geostories on top of this data. Manage access to these data sets. So we have a very granular permission system to assign permissions to users and groups of users to the data and to the services that serve this data. So we have a UI with a client application to visualize the data on web maps, but also all the common standard services provided by OGC, WMS, WFS, CSW services are available, along with quite an extended list of REST APIs that allow interacting with all the functionality provided by the platform. Basically, the capabilities in a very few words is that you have local files or remote resources that you collect into datasets and documents catalogs. And on top of these base resources, you can create maps, geostories, dashboards, or even custom applications, because GeoNode is designed to be extended and to easily integrate custom micro applications or embedded applications inside GeoNode that can use all the functionalities provided by the platform, the data, and all the coding tools that the platform provide. And from these outputs, from maps, geostories, dashboards, and so forth, you can generate services, OGC services. You can interact with it through REST APIs or serve all this data on the web. So with typical HTML applications and JavaScript applications, both, I mean, the one that is provided by GeoNode itself, but also you can also embed the outputs into external websites. So yes, these are the main components, at least the spatial components that compose GeoNode, which include GeoServer, MapStore, PyCSW for the catalog services, and all the typical open source softwares, GDAL, PostGIS, and so forth. But of course, I mean, this is only a small portion of all the technologies that compose GeoNode, because we have also other technologies that build up the web application. But I mean, I will not say more on these, but of course, if you have more technical questions at the end, you can ask. We have a community which is quite extended, including committers that from several, I mean, we are the main committers at the moment, but we also have contributions from other groups, public institutions, research institute, companies, and we have a steering committee which governs the community to grant and guarantee the quality and the community life around GeoNode. This is a project that is there since I would say maybe 15 years, even more. No, it's almost 20 years. And so a lot of people have worked since the beginning on GeoNode. A lot of people have, gone through the code. So we are happy that, this project is still alive, which is means that it's a valuable project. And now we are the main maintainers, but it has a long history. At the moment, we are at version 4.4x. The stable version where we are doing the latest developments on the version that we are releasing. And then we have a master branch where we do the more, it's an unstable branch where we do the latest advancements for the future releases, like in this case, GeoNode 5. I will say something in the end, at the end. So now we are here, but the first release was in 2010. So it's 14 years, okay? 14 years, the history. And yeah, we have more or less 3 or 4 releases per year. We don't have a fixed schedule. Probably in the future, we will have a calendar with more fixed dates. But for the moment, we release as soon as we have important fixes. We have both in terms of security functionality. So when we accumulate enough fixes, enough improvements, we do a new release. So the next one will probably be in a few weeks for 2. It doesn't change what I will show today. It's just a minor release for bug fixing. So GeoNode 4.1, what it is? I mean, what are the great news? There are every release. In this case, it was 4.4 and then 4.1 include a long list of things that will not be listed here. You can take a look at the changelog. I will show you where it is located. It will give you more details on the even the smaller things, the bug fixes, and so forth. Today we will focus on the major features, and probably the first one is 3D tiles support. So with GeoNode 4.4, we have integrated the support for visualizing 3D tiles in GeoNode, which is something that was already available in the Map Store, but it wasn't available in GeoNode because until version 4.3 and 4.3.0, there was quite a big lag between the versions that between the Map Store version used in GeoNode and the latest versions of Map Store. This gap has been closed with version 4.3 in GeoNode and is being closed even more in version 4.4. Now, GeoNode is aligned with the latest versions of MapStore. So all the advancements that we have in MapStore and fixes, all the improvements are automatically available, more or less automatically available in GeoNode. This time, the new advancement is support for 3D tiles. Of course, this means that we integrated the 3D views that MapStore provides in GeoNode, and what we did compared to just the 3D tiles viewer capabilities that MapStore provide, we introduced the possibility to create 3D tiles resources inside the GeoNode catalog. Because the MapStore provides the viewer, but the GeoNode is a resource catalog. So we gave the option to users to create 3D resources inside the GeoNode catalog and visualize them with the MapStore viewer. So 3D tiles resources are first citizen resources in GeoNode, which means they are, they have the same functionality and capabilities of the other spatial resources that you can upload in GeoNode, like vector data, 2D vector data, raster data. So 3D tiles assets are can be managed the same as any other resource in GeoNode. So you can assign metadata, you can manage security and access permissions to 3D tiles. Uh, we have two ways to manage 3D tiles in GeoNode. One is by uploading an asset, so a zip file, or it should be uploaded as a zip file containing the 3D tiles assets from the file system. So with the upload, with an upload to GeoNode, it will be parsed and stored inside the GeoNode folders, inside the GeoNode storage, and it will be served directly from GeoNode itself. It requires that the zip file is in a standard, the typical cesium layout, 3D tile cesium layout, which is a JSON file that provides the index and the subfolders that provides the tiles the tiles of the 3D data, GLTF data that will be loaded by the viewer. Okay. This is one option. The other option is if you have already assets served by static service, by an HTTP server, by a service, online service, you can take the URL to the index of these assets, so the URL provided by the external service, and create a new resource in GeoNode from that URL. In this case, GeoNode will not store the data, of course. The data is out, it's in the remote service. The GeoNode resource will only reference the external URL. So when the viewer will show the data, it will take the data from the remote service. There are a few technical things to say about that, but I will skip them for the moment, which is the support from the external service to cross-origin requests. But I mean, it's too technical for this webinar probably. So GeoNode will try to do, GeoNode and MapStore will try to do the best thing to access the resources. So it will try to access the resource directly or through a proxy service in case the direct calls are not available. But I mean, these are details. In general, you will be able to visualize any remote 3D tiles that is, I mean, open and publicly available. I can give you a quick demonstration of what I'm saying here. This is the development demo, but we also have a stable demo. The development demo is for the master branch, so the very new developments. The stable demo, which is this one, is for X branch, so it reflects what you will get in the next release. But for the moment, I will show you the development because I have some more data here to show, and from the side on the side of 3D tiles, they are completely the same. Feel free to register on the online demos. There's an open registration for everyone, so you can use these demos to test with your own accounts, upload your data and make tests. Of course, there are limitations, but I mean, most of the functionality is available. So for 3D tiles, we have them listed inside the filter of GeoNode. So the filter is the main panel that allows you to search and filter out resources. And between the data sets, you see that now we have 3D tiles. And so if I click, I will see all the 3D tiles resources. And here you see a few examples of 3D tiles resources coming from from remote URLs. This is an example. This is coming from this URL. And as you can see, it references this JSON file, which is the index file for these 3D tiles. And if I view, yeah, so I can create again this resource to show you how this has been created. It's as simple as this. I go to the usual add resource in GeoNode, upload the dataset, and add from URL. So this is for adding resources from local files. This is for remote files. In this moment, the only type of remote data set that is supported is 3D tiles, but probably more types of remote URLs will be added in the future. So if I put a valid URL to a valid 3D tiles and I click upload, GeoNode will parse this URL, the contents, which means it validates the tile set. It extracts the location, the bounding boxes, the spheres, all the 3D spatial information that is required to create the resource. And now I can just go and visualize my resource. And you will see that this is calling directly the remote server to obtain the tiles here. Okay. I will remove this because it's a duplicate. And now I will show instead loading a local 3D tiles. In this case, I use the select files. I'm using this 3D tiles zip, which is, I don't know if you see, well, maybe not because I'm sharing just one screen, but anyway, I'm loading a zip file that contains my 3D tiles. In this case, I'm uploading the file. GeoNode will extract the zip file, will validate again everything, will store everything on the storage. And now this time, these buildings are coming from GeoNode. So from the tiles that have been uploaded and stored in the GeoNode storage. Okay. And as I was saying, you get the same features that are expected for the other kind of data sets. So you get the location management of location, the assets, so you can download the original files of this data set. You can edit, or you can manage the permissions, so who can download, view, visualize, and so forth. So all the permissions for this data set. And you can edit the metadata for this data set. Oh, this is the new metadata editor. I will tell you more about this. The stable version has a different layout, but I mean, it's not relevant here. Okay, so this is all for now. I mean, for the 3D tiles. On this topic, I want to tell you that we at GeoSolutions are working on, well, developing what we call the digital twin toolbox, which is a set of softwares. It's a pipeline that is meant to process 3D sources, 3D data sources like point cloud data, LiDAR data, to generate and produce 3D tiles assets. This is, I'm just mentioning this because it's about 3D tiles, okay? So It's an open source solution for inspecting and generating 3D tiles. It's in an alpha stage, or maybe beta, but we are working on it. It's proving very useful. We have visual tools that guide into defining the pipelines for processing the data sources and generate the final assets, 3D tile assets. So just in case you want to take a look. So for 3D tiles, that's all. The other thing that we added, it's not something that is available to end users at the moment. File assets. Okay, let me introduce the concept, then I will tell you what I mean. File assets is a very new concept in GeoNode, which is a new model for the management of the files that are behind the resources that you upload to GeoNode. So when you upload a file, spatial data set, but also documents or documents or data sets, you are sending a file to GeoNode, and GeoNode will store the file somewhere. Until now, it was stored directly on the file system with a simple model for its management. Starting from version 4.4, we have an abstraction on top of these files and the storage of these files that allows us more control over their management, the management of their life cycle. So we have basically separated the file that you upload to GeoNode from the resource that is generated for these files. Okay. This step, this technical step, was the base to start the support for multiple files connected to a single resource. This is something that we find in other metadata catalogs like GeoNetwork, for example, or SICAN. And it wasn't available until now in GeoNode. So until now, the resource was the file, okay? It was one-to-one. Now we can have a resource with multiple files connected to the resource, and these files are called assets. And so this allows the creation of file containers in GeoNode where you can connect multiple files to a single resource. So you will understand that this is something that seems not so important, but actually it changed a lot of things, because this one-to-many relationship between a resource and the files allows many more functionalities in GeoNode, including the possibility in the future to manage file assets independently from resources. So you can upload the files to GeoNode and then create multiple different resources from the same files. This also allows having metadata containers. So metadata resources that are just containers for file assets. And this is what we have done, for example, in, I don't have, this image. This is an image where this document, the research results, PTCP research results, it's an example, is a single resource. It's a document resource in GeoNode, but it collects a long list of PDF files in this case, but you can have files of different types. And how do you do that? For the moment, this is something that is only supported in the backend. So, for people that can use the APIs to perform the operations. So you create the files, you create the links between the files and the resources. So it's something that is not available through the interface. That's what I was saying at the beginning. But in the next version of GeoNode, we will start introducing the option to upload inside GeoNode the zip file and say, okay, you have to expand this zip file into multiple assets. So the zip file that you upload to GeoNode will not be managed as a single file, but as a container of multiple assets. So this zip file could contain PDF, images, whatever. And then you will have them listed here with the ability to preview them inside in line with this viewer. So have a preview of the PDF, whatever, and download the single assets. So this allows you to manage the metadata for all these assets, the single metadata that, as a single container for all the files. This is a note for any of you that already has GeoNode and wants to upgrade to 4.4. This important change between the previous way of managing files and the new assets require the execution of a command, manual command during the upgrade that will migrate the previous storage system to the new one. If you do not do this command, nothing wrong happens. GeoNode will still work, but for better maintenance, we suggest to execute the command that is documented in the wiki pages of GeoNode for the upgrades. So you will have your GeoNode instance aligned to the new storage model. Well, as I was mentioning at the beginning, the upgrade also includes an upgrade of MapStore. So now with the current version, we are at 2024-0101, and in the upcoming version, we will have 24-0202, which is the very latest released version of MapStore. So we are following one-to-one. This also means that if you have, if you follow the developments in MapStore, you will I would say 95% of what you see in MapStore Store news, MapStore release news, you will get this automatically also in GeoNode. There was an upgrade of the Django framework behind, an upgrade of the GeoServer version of PostgreSQL and then Nginx, which are probably the most fundamental components of the GeoNode infrastructure. For PostgreSQL, we dropped support for PostgreSQL version below 12. So if you have a PostgreSQL 11, you need to make an upgrade at least to 12 to make the upgrade of GeoNode, because PostgreSQL 11 has reached end of life, and so we dropped the support for it. For GeoServer, we are working to close the gap also for GeoServer. 224.4 is not the latest. The latest version is 224.5, and it will be included in the next release. So GeoNode 4.42 which is the next one, we'll have GeoServer 2.24.5, which is the last version of the 2.24 series in GeoServer. Now we are working to close the gap and start adopting GeoServer 2.26, which is the latest series. We are working because there are some extensions that need to be upgraded to some modules, GeoServer modules that are required by GeoNode that need to be updated. But I mean, this upgrade will happen probably with GeoNode 5. When GeoNode 5 will be out, we will have GeoServer 2.26. Okay, so this is all. I mean, the big features of this release. You will see inside the release page on GitHub. You can see more. You can get more details, and the complete change log is also reported. I mean, with a link to the full list of changes, so you can go through all the details. And this is for 4.4.0. As I said, there are other minor improvements to the management of map extents to the APIs, but I don't think they're, well, I mean, they're worth mention. It is worth mentioning them here. The same for 4.4.1. There are more fixes and upgrades to MapStore, but the features are that no new feature basically in 4.4.1. If you want to, yeah, no, okay, that's all. I think. I don't know if Ryan. I don't know if we want to ask for questions before jumping to the future plans, or
Yeah,
if you.
yes, sir. Yeah, let's answer some of these questions. We had a good amount of them come in. And the timing is probably right to address these now. The first one's from Rodolfo. Is it possible to upload City GML and the new GeoNode version?
Not directly, only 3D ties. So for CityGML, you have first to translate them to 3D ties.
Got it. Next question is, what 3D tiles formats can be loaded into GeoNode?
Version 2, I think it's basically cesium 3D tiles. Yeah, 1.1. Sorry, not 2. 1.1.
Got it.
This is a version that I think MapStore actually supports both, but right, yeah, I was wrong. MapStore supports both because I mean Cesium supports both, so you can actually upload both of them. GeoNode will not do much. I mean, it doesn't care if you're using BL3D or GLTF, the new B3DM or GLTF, whatever. I mean, it's something that is delegated to the viewer. So what GeoNode does is just inspecting the JSON, the index file. And I think this didn't change much between the two versions. So both are supported, I would say. Yeah.
Roger that. Thanks, Giovanni. Next question, also from Rodolfo. Do you have an example where we could test the GeoNode remote 3D tile resources?
You mean remote resources to test, or how to test the remote resources? I mean, because I mean, if you go to the development demo, you will see that there are a few of them already. I mean, if you go here, or also on the stable demo, both have some. Most of them are remote. You see from the title. I mean, So if you click any of them, you will see the link to the remote 3D tile. I don't know if all of them are working now, but it seems yes. So you can take this URL and test also on your own, on your instances. And you can use, of course, the stable demo and the development demo to upload to test the remote URLs if you have some URLs to test. So these are some of the URLs that we have found. I mean, there are many. If you go over internet, you do web searches, you will see that there are several online resources for 3D tiles, and not all of them are working. So we selected some that are working.
Very good. Yeah, Rodolfo, check out that demo site, development.demo.geonode.org. And if that does not answer your question, feel free to email
Yeah.
us. This goes for everybody. Just email info@geosolutionsgroup.com, and I'll type that email address just so people know where to find us. I'll include mine as well in case you have any questions. Next question is from Stefan Berger. How about functionalities to transform 3D formats such as city GML, point clouds, or 3D meshes to 3D tiles? Is something like that planned in the future? And Giovanni, that might refer to the tool set that you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, we don't have plans right now to do it automatically at upload time because it's a complex transformation that is really hard to do well. I mean, in a automatic way. So that's the reason we are developing tools like this toolbox where you can process this data offline and then upload the result to GeoNode. Okay. So I'm not much into this tool right now. I mean, so what are the capabilities at the moment are a little, I mean, I'm not aware of the more recent capabilities, but let me find out where is it? Last data, there was a test, if I'm not wrong, with CTGML. Okay, but you can. I mean, if you write us, we can give you more details on this. I don't remember exactly if it's already been published or if we have the tool for the CTGML. Honestly, so I invite you to write, even to. I think there's a contact here or to info@geosolutionsgroup.com. And we have the team behind Digital Twin Box can give you more information. But yeah, I mean, if the question was if we will support the automatic transformation in GeoNode, I would say I don't think so. I mean, at least not out of the box. I mean, we have plans as we did for raster, for example, for the preprocessing of raster data. We have plans to introduce some tools to simplify the setup of the automatic processing of upload data, simple automatic processing. For example, for raster data, we have plans to introduce the automatic detection of if the 3D tile is tiled, if it have the overviews, if it has compression. So we can do these basic optimizations to raster tiles before they are published to GeoServer. And this is something planned for the future. But for more advanced pipelines and processing pipelines, generally we set up pipelines with, for example, Airflow, Apache Airflow, that will automatically connect to GeoNode, do the processing, and then publish things through GeoNode APIs. But it's a tool that is external to GeoNode and interacts with GeoNode through the APIs to set up an automation for that.
All right, very good. And I typed the info at email address into the chat. So if there are any questions that we're unable to cover or require further investigation, feel free to email us there and we'll follow up. Some more questions. Let's see. Is there a way to generate 3D tiles from a georeferenced OBJ file? Is it possible to transfer Blender objects to 3D tiles?
Well, there are experiments. I'm aware there are tools out there to do that. I'm not sure it is something planned for the digital twin box. As I said, this is something that could be asked to the team from the digital twin toolbox. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't heard of this option right now, but I'm aware that there are tools out there for that, but I cannot say more.
Very good. Let's see. Marco asks, is this a data set or a map? And I'm not sure exactly what point in the presentation Marco asked that question.
Do you mean this? Or maybe this? I don't.
It might have been referring to assets. I'm not sure.
What was the question? Sorry, because I
It
cannot
just says,
see.
is this a data set or a map?
Okay.
In the
Okay.
in the
I
catalog.
don't know. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Well, a 3D tiles is a data set. So you have. I mean, if you refer to these, or because I mean the assets are the image I was showing about assets is not a data set, not a map. It's a document. So I don't think it's referring to this. If you're referring to the 3D tiles, they're data sets like 2D vectors or rasters. So you have a preview when you have, this is a preview, okay, of the data set. So this is the let's say the data set, but you can, of course, create a map with it. So you can include it inside the 3D map, which is automatically 3D. And so, of course, you can add more data sets to this map as usual and create a map on top of it.
Right, great, very good. Marco, thanks for the questions. George Davis asks, is there an example of using Google 3D tiles?
That's a good question. I don't have an example. I should. I can ask offline to Stefano if he has any. And I remember I saw an example from the Mapstore team, but I'm not sure. We don't have an example. I cannot show something here right now. I don't have one, but I can ask if there's something. Let me check. But we can move on, and I will ask.
All right, George, we'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Well, Stefano is already answering me, so that's three.
Stefano, we can allow you to talk too if you want to describe.
Oh, yeah, here it is for the realistic 3D tiles. This is from Mapstore, so this means that should be also doable in GeoNode because, yeah, Stefano, if you want to say something more, if you are following the call and you have something also about the digital twin toolbox to add, you can jump in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. At the moment, for the photorealistic 3D tiles, we have support in Mapstore for sure because we tested with the API key, but never tested on GeoNode. So we need to ensure that the API key are received by the the client because we don't want to expose the API keys in the main application. So right now, map store is doable through a context that it's in GeoNode called viewer. So probably we could replicate that, but we never experimented. We tested also in map store because also there was needs for the correct attribution, and now it's appearing below. So we need to ensure that everything will work also in GeoNode before to publicly say that. About the digital twin toolbox, at the moment, the supported conversion are the point cloud to 3D tiles and shape files to 3D tiles. And we are currently experimenting on conversion of point cloud to meshes to understand if it's possible to then process the meshes to 3D tiles. And meshes, I mean OBJ and 3D object, like was mentioned, that could be supported in Blender. But at the moment, it's early stage and still under investigation.
Very good. Thanks, Stefano, for that.
Yeah, well, I will take the. I mean, this is a good. I mean, a good question because I think we will investigate this in the option of using the photorealistic Google Photorealistic in GeoNode too. So thanks for this.
That's a great suggestion in the form of a question.
Yeah.
The next question is, let's see, Rodolfo had another one. Let's go with this one. Could you show in a demo how to add a 3D model to an existing layer in a map? In terms of editing the dataset style, we could not activate the existing option as per your documentation.
You mean editing the style for the 3D tiles, or I'm not sure I get the question. Maybe adding a 3D model to a map and editing the style of the 3D model, I guess.
Yeah, I believe it's the latter.
I'm not sure if this is supported right now. Stefano, it's not, right? You can confirm.
Yeah, you can check by clicking on the layers table of content. You should click there. I knew there was a bug to the style, but now it should work with this one. So you can use the visual one.
Yeah. Oh, the visual one is.
Yeah. And you can add the rules, like clicking that to change the color. And
okay.
Based on the content of the 3D tiles, you could filter. I don't remember, this 3D tile probably has the height information. I'm not sure. You need to click on plus to add all, right? And there are a few attributes. And
max Z, bin Z, probably, yeah. Okay. Oh, well, I don't know what it is about.
Yeah, you see that something disappeared there.
Yeah. Yeah, this, for example, disappeared after increasing the filter. Yeah. So basic styling is, so I think all that MapStore supports for the styling of 3D tiles is also available in GeoNode. So of course
at the moment,
yeah. So of course you have to add your own model, not for maybe also for remote. I'm not sure, but it should work also for remote, right?
Yeah, because the style is saved in the map configuration. It's not
so tied to the resource.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's not working for you. If you have, something that doesn't work, please report us. Also, you can open an issue in the GeoNode repository, whatever you want to, or even write directly to us if something is not working. It's important for us to have your feedback.
Great, thanks, gents. John Larnaga Lopez. If that does not answer your question, like Giovanni said, just get back to us or post it to the community forum. Let's see. You want to keep going with questions, or do you want to cover the future roadmap?
Well,
and
I think we can, yeah, say a
Okay.
few words about the future, and then we can have again a question time. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the future the future is GeoNode 5. For GeoNode 4.4.2, it will be out in a few days, and it's nothing more from what I showed. Um, the big changes will happen with the next release, major release, which is GeoNode 5, and it will be it's planned for May, around May. And one of the biggest changes in this release is the new metadata model and editor. We have refactored all the metadata services, the APIs, and the client editor. I mean, I don't know if some one of you have experience with the metadata editing in GeoNode now, he knows that, okay, for basic metadata functionality, it works well. I mean, it gives even more than what is usually used for simple catalog services. I mean, if you have to just publish your dataset and map, it's more than enough. But if you care about the metadata, care about the compliance with standards and so forth, or you have your own standards to comply to, this is quite complex to achieve compliancy in GeoNode now, because it provides a good basic support for doubling core schema, which is like the lingua franca, say, of the metadata schemas, which with a small subset of data that is considered the minimal set of attributes that we expect for the metadata. For more advanced schemas, coding is required, and a lot of code is required. We have to make changes to the templates, to the UI, to the editors, to the models. Even if you want to add the new fields, you have to bring your own models, which creates new tables in the DB. So it's, I mean, the GeoNode as it is now is not designed to extend the metadata model, basically. You have to fight against it. With GeoNode 5, we have completely refactored this part of GeoNode. So we have a new model based on JSON schema. So you can define a JSON schema specification with standard JSON schema, the standard JSON schema features, where you can define the fields, the schema validators. You can even define a set of properties to drive the editor. And so from a JSON configuration, you have automatically the model and the editor and the APIs without writing one line of code. And if you need to do something more advanced, you can still plug your own custom modules, custom fields, and custom validators, but in a very simplified way compared to the current situation. So with a few lines of code, you can add custom validation to fields, custom business logic to the field validations, storage, and so forth. And all these, all this system is based on JSON schema configuration, and it also outputs standard JSON schema and OpenAPI 3 interfaces. So all the new metadata API endpoint is available as an open API interface, so you can do CRUD, so create, edit, delete operations directly for the metadata, even with automatic other third-party client applications or third-party client services that can be built on top of the OpenAPI specification. The new editor is simplified compared to the current one. Now in the current version we have a metadata editor with a wizard with steps, and an advanced metadata editor that is more similar to this one. We decided to only keep this one and just add this sidebar to have an overview of all the fields, to navigate quickly to the sections, and have a quick visual feedbacks where errors or validation errors happen. So it will be marked in the sidebar with a red mark, so you can inspect quickly the status of the metadata and jump to the point. We have a few, all this editor and all these fields and the values that you see here are all populated automatically from the JSON configuration, JSON schema configuration. There is also support to obtain the list of values for a select box from external APIs. For example, if you have an external API that provides list of values or list of domain values, code points, and so forth, you can use that to populate values to show inside the editor without storing the values in GeoNode. We have sparse fields, which is the concept of, beyond the fields, the standard fields that are inside the GeoNode model. GeoNode has a list of metadata fields that are those that compose the doubling core, but also that supports the functionality in GeoNode. So we have a set of attributes attached to resources. If you need to go beyond them with custom schemas, you can use, they will be backed by sparse fields, which is a new model, which means that you don't, as I was saying, you don't need to create a new data DB models or DB tables. They will be stored in this single flat table where you can add any field to the schema. This is already used. A use case is for the European Inspire schema, which is, GeoNode doesn't have all the fields that are required by the Inspire specification. We did a test and we were able to have the complete Inspire schema just using the JSON configuration that are reflected in this sparse fields model. So without writing code, we were able to have an Inspire compliant metadata. We will also upgrade to PyCSW3, which is PyCSW is the service behind that. It's integrated in GeoNode that provides the CSW standard services for querying and filtering and retrieving metadata according to the CSW OGC standard. And this upgrade is important for many reasons, including the support for the new ISO version. This doesn't mean that GeoNode will have automatically ISO 1915-2014 support. It must be implemented, through the JSON configuration. But even the implementation of this support required some support from the PyCSW, the new PyCSW version. So that's why we are upgrading. This was requested by a few users and companies. So yeah, the idea is that, in GeoNode 5, there will be the basic support to implement this standard if requested. We will have a new layout, a new homepage, a new, we are working with the MapStore team. Stefano is here, and he's the author of the new homepage in MapStore. Basically, the work that we started to align GeoNode and MapStore is going forward, having a single, ideally a single system of components and interfaces and layouts shared by the two projects, so that we can, bring all the forces from the two teams together, and also take advantage of the developments between the two projects. So the MapStore team is working on a new homepage for MapStore, and a new layout and a new styling season, a new styling, yes, theme. This will be also integrated back in GeoNode during the next months. So GeoNode 5 will have a new set of functionalities that will allow even more customizations in the layout. There should be easier to create custom pages with the custom catalogs and custom layouts. An example, for example, we have many cases where people ask for layouts that differ from the standard out-of-the-box layout that you get when you install just GeoNode. What you get by default is this, with the hero and the catalog right here, okay? But of course, in many situations, people want to have a homepage with texts, cards, links, boxes, sections. It's already doable. I mean, we can already do it, but it would be even simpler tomorrow. Also, because these component, which is the catalog, probably, yeah, I mean, we will have support for embedding this catalog also in custom pages inside GeoNode, in subsections in GeoNode, have filtered multiple catalogs filtered by type of resource and keywords, whatever. So basically, we are increasing the flexibility. Probably something will change in terms of layout. It will be more similar to these projects, where you have a top bar like this. And as you can see, this is an example where we started thinking to make these improvements. This is a project where you see there are many micro catalogs, let's say, filtered on keywords. So this kind of layouts will be easier to be achieved tomorrow with this new work done on MapStore and then in the GeoNode 5. We're working to integrate external GeoServer in a more advanced way. At the moment, the GeoNode supports remote services, which means you can configure a remote WMS service or even ArcGIS, but in this case, it's WMS service inside GeoNode. So an external WMS service, and publish inside GeoNode layers coming from this remote WMS. This support is limited to public WMS services. So we do not support authenticated services for many reasons. It's also technical, very difficult to obtain authentication with external resources, because you would have to authenticate users to the external resource, the GeoNode users to the external resource. So the advancement that we are going to do is to register an external GeoServer in GeoNode for authenticated access and authorized access to this external GeoServer. This is only possible if this external GeoServer can be configured to communicate with GeoNode. So if it's a GeoServer under your control, you can configure it in a certain way to allow GeoNode and this external GeoServer to communicate on a back channel, let's say, to let GeoNode users authenticate with the external GeoServer. So you can manage your layers and your access rules in the external GeoServer independently from GeoNode. But when a GeoNode user arrives to GeoServer, GeoServer will be able to ask to authenticate that user with GeoNode and then apply its own rules for that user. So basically, it's a step forward the federation, GeoServer Federation, which is a plan that we have since a long time to allow supporting multiple GeoServers with a single instance of GeoNode. And this will be a first step in that direction. We also have plans to review a lot of legacy code, remove deprecated functionality, deprecate the legacy APIs. So whoever is using any APIs from version one of the APIs, which is, what is not version 2? You have API and API v2 in GeoNode. We will deprecate API v1. So we will not be removed right away, but it will be deprecated. So at a certain point, we will remove them completely. And we are also removing legacy code that, is also a problem in terms of security because we are bringing in GeoNode things that, make red alarms on vulnerabilities analysis. Of course, these red alarms are not really, so critical actually because the way this legacy code is used is not, relevant in terms of possible attacks. But since GeoNode GeoNode deployments are scanned by code analysis tools more and more. Sometimes these code analysis tools automatically ring the alarms because they find an old JavaScript library in the code that is needed for just a small feature there from years. So we want to make a step forward and remove all this legacy code that is not needed, and so do a global cleanup of the code base in GeoNode. So GeoNode 5 will be more clean, let's say. We are also reviewing the Docker deployments to improve the security and the sandboxing, and also to support other containerized deployments, even outside Docker. I know people doing deployment with Podman, and probably something will be shared by them to the community, I think, soon. So I'm really happy to know that people are experimenting other ways to do deployments. But in all cases, these deployments need some more, some adjustments that we will do for GeoNode 5. What else? The roadmap to GeoNode 5 is, shared with the community, okay? We have shared a roadmap recently. It will be updated soon. It was shared in December. Now there are some updates, but it's available as a public discussion. So feel free to participate to the discussion. It's at this link. You will find it under the discussions on the GitHub project. So you can read it and put your comments and feedbacks, or also vote for features that might not be listed there. It's a good feedback for us. Yeah, I think that's all for the moment.
Cool. Thanks, Giovanni. I really like that feedback form also. So please, folks, feel free to contribute and participate in the forum. We do have a few more questions left, Giovanni, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Rodolfo, we will get to yours at the end as it's a little bit more complex than some of the others. There's one question from an anonymous attendee, and I think we answered it partially earlier. How could we convert an OBJ object or 3D object, for example, from Blender to GeoNode's 3D format?
Well, actually, it's not GeoNode 3D format. It's a 3D tiles
3D
format, which
tiles,
is the
right?
standard, of course. Maybe Stefano can say something on that if he's still there, but because it's outside the topic. Mhm.
What I can add that we experimented on converting OBJ meshes to 3D tiles. We do not add it to the digital twin toolbox because we don't have a clean pipeline yet to have acceptable 3D tiles. So at the moment, as I said before, we are still in a investigation phase and experimentation phase. So as soon as something will be pipeline is completed, we will add the process and public on the digital twin toolbox. But I know that there are a few library around that are able to convert OBJ to 3D tiles. Open source library.
Excellent. Thanks, Stefano. Let's see. Silvio asks, batch permissions. Is it possible to select multiple resources and set the permissions for a single user group? And then batched geo restrictions. Is it possible to select multiple resources and set the geo restrictions for a single user and group?
Good question. There's something to be enhanced, but yeah, I mean, there's basic support from the backend. If you go to I mean, not from the UI, okay, from the front end UI. If you go to the site administration and you go to wait a second, I have to find, where is it? Set layer permissions. So you can do something, I mean, from the point of view of the users. So you can select users and do this action, go. And for all these users, you can set if you can download, edit, and yeah, and you select the list of datasets. So you can select multiple users, select multiple datasets here, and select what you can do. This is coming from previous versions, so it's not a very nice and clear interface to do that. But this is what is available now. Okay, and it's restricted to, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's restricted to datasets. So here you can do that only for dataset permissions, not for the other resources. For documents, for example, this is not available. So the other option is to use the APIs, of course, because all this functionality is available through the API. So if you have any tool that can do batch requests to the API, you can take a look at the documentation where we have examples of API usage. If you go here, and you will see user groups and permissions, and these explain the request that you have to do to change the permissions for users and datasets and resources. So you could have a batch script that does that. But from the UI, for the moment, this is limited to this tool.
Great, thanks, Giovanni. And Silvio, let us know if that does not answer your question. Again, this is being recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel. So the process that Giovanni just showed will be on the video in case you missed it or you weren't able to follow along the first time. Let's see, Silvio, can you save a reduced map viewer per user group?
A map viewer? I mean, you mean map viewer? You mean this? I guess. Let's go to a map. We'll take one. If you mean this, so the ability to add a custom viewer, map viewer, or you mean a map. So if you mean a viewer, the viewer is not tied to users. I mean, if a viewer, map viewer, the map viewer is a custom configuration of the map for a map. Okay, or it can be applied to multiple maps. So if you can take an existing viewer, so an existing configuration for a map, you can apply it to a map where you can configure which plugins and tools you want in a map. So a map viewer is a custom configuration of the tools that you want in a map. And this is something that once it's assigned to a map is available to any users that is able to view the map. So you cannot differentiate the configuration of the tools depending on the user that is viewing the map. If you mean the map viewer as the map itself, so these, of course, yes. I mean, it's a resource, so you can use the share permissions, decide who can view the map. So you can close it and just let register user to view it or specific users, okay? And in this case, of course, users will be able to view the layers in the map according to the permissions on the layers. So if you open the map to everyone, but the permissions on the layers are restricted, users will be able to view the map, but they will not be able to view the layers inside the map. Okay, so of course there must be consistent.
Excellent. Thanks, Giovanni. And thanks, Silvio, for the question. If that doesn't fully address your question, let us know. Okay, Marco, as a beginner using GeoNode, he's asking a question about performance. If you're including several data sets, does that decrease performance? Are layers and data sets preloaded, or is it just a link to a resource when selecting or requesting the data set?
Well, of course, the more the resources you create, the more hardware resources you need, of course, because it needs the resources in terms of DB, in terms of performance of the HTTP server, and so forth, and so forth. But I want to clarify that the number of resources is independent from the content of the resources. Okay, so if you add, I mean, the data and the size of the data that is inside the resource is managed by it's important for the GeoServer, which is the server that actually renders the data when you visualize it on a map. So this image, the image that you see on the map, is rendered by GeoServer. So if the dimension of these content, of course, impacts the performances of GeoServer. But for a single resource or in a map, if you take a map with 10 layers that are really heavy, of course, you will need to have a performant GeoServer behind the scenes. So you have to give more resources to GeoServer. But in terms of number of resources in the catalog, they are independent from the content. So if you have 10 layers with 1 point or 10 layers with millions of points each one, from the point of view of GeoNode, they are completely the same because they're just, attributes in the DB. So when we query the DB for showing the list of resources here, these queries, of course, will be more or less heavy depending on the number of resources you have, but not, it's not dependent on the size of the data, okay, that is included in the resources. I'm not sure if I clarified, but for example, in the stable development demo, we have now, stable demo, we now have 7,000 resources, and some of them are really big, some are really small. It doesn't care. GeoNode sees 7,000 resources, and it doesn't care about the contents. On the other side, when I visualize a map of a resource, the content of the resource impacts not GeoNode itself, but GeoServer, which is the cartographic server behind it. So there's, in general, of course, the number of resources and the contents as a whole impacts the resources that you need to give to your GeoNode and GeoServer instance.
Excellent. Marco, let us know if that doesn't answer your question. Again, everyone, info@geosolutionsgroup.com. I think I posted that in the chat earlier, but feel free if that doesn't answer your question, get back to us. Let's see. Let's go to Rodolfo had kind of more complex questions. This might be something we have to address in a second cup of coffee type situation, but let's see if we can do it now. Rodolfo has tried to upload one of the tileset zip downloads from stable.demo.geonode.org, but he's receiving an error in GeoNode 4.4, and the error is the upload process failed. Please check the validity of the file and try to upload it again. He asks, as an admin, how can I check the logs to identify the format error that I'm dealing with? Or do you know how to verify?
Okay. Well, to see, to have more information from the logs, you have, I don't know how you deployed your GeoNode, but the upload is managed by the Celery service in GeoNode. Celery is the component that executes the asynchronous processes in GeoNode, including the upload. So when you upload the file, there's an asynchronous task that is executed. So you can even close your page and this task will continue. So it's not dependent on the current status of the page, okay? And this asynchronous process is executed by the Celery service. Celery is a Python technology to do this. So you have to inspect the logs produced by Celery. And they are located in a position that is different depending on the deployment. In a Docker container, if you are doing Docker deployment, you can go in the Celery container. You will see listed between the containers, there's one called Celery. So you have to open that container and check the /var/log/celery.log file and take a look at these logs, and probably you will see a lot of information there about the error that you're facing. So if you're able to do that, you can share the logs with us so we can help you figure out what's wrong. Or even share, you could also share the tile set that you downloaded. So because it's unexpected, I did a test even a few minutes ago, downloading an example tile set from stable, and I uploaded again into development, and it worked fine. So I would like to know which data set you tested, or if you can share the tile set, the zip file directly, it would be helpful.
Right. Thanks, Giovanni. And Rodolfo, I think we corresponded in the chat. Feel free to email us at info also, because I'm guessing this could be a more involved question. Angel Armando Garcia Gonzalez asks Stefano. Stefano mentioned there are some open source libraries, and I believe that was in reference to converting OBJ to 3D tiles. Stefano, can you do you know any offhand other open source libraries that are out there for you?
I need to double check. I remember something like Go Tyler. I need to find the library because I tested some times ago. And probably also the Mago 3D Tyler. There is another library that we tested. It's also open source.
Did you say Mongo?
No,
Mongo?
Mago.
MAG.
Because there is the open draw map. I don't know where I can put. Maybe I can pass to Giovanni. There is the open draw map OBJ2 tiles. That this one we tested to, and it's open source. So yeah, this one. And based on an OBJ, it's requesting latitude, longitude, and altitude. You can place the location. The other one that I mentioned, I did not test it personally, so I don't know the result. This one, yeah, it was the Mago 3D tiles.
Mago 3D
Mago
tiler.
3D tiler, yeah. Also, this one, I think there is support for, it's a Java implementation, so you can use that with a jar file and execute the processes. But I don't remember the result with the OBJ, honestly. I did some tests for the Digital Twin Toolbox, and I did not continue that yet. So these two, the one that we tried.
Cool. Thanks, Stefano. I believe that's it for questions. So that was a lot, and thanks for joining us again.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Again, if you have any questions, it's info@geosolutionsgroup.com. We also have our blog on our website at geosolutionsgroup.com. And another great resource is our collection of recorded webinar videos on the GeoSolutions Group YouTube channel. And I posted some other videos that might be relevant or interesting to the audience. So feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Again, this is a series, so we continue to host webinars focused on new releases, new updates for GeoServer, GeoNode, MapStore, as well as use cases and case studies featuring client applications utilizing open source and the products that we directly develop and support. So with that, Giovanni or Stefano, did you have any closing remarks or anything you'd like to add?
No, stay tuned. I mean, and yeah, I really, we really appreciate if you give us feedback and also participate to the online community with feedbacks also for the upcoming releases. So everything that's coming from you is important for us to drive the new developments and also improve and fixing things there. Thanks, everyone.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks Giovanni for your expertise. And again, reach out to us, stay involved. We always like to hear from users, so don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.
Yep.
And thanks again. Have a great day. Have a great evening out there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.